Hello and welcome to the chapter plan for the ICND1 Cert Guide, Chapter 7, Ethernet LAN Switching Concepts. Like all these chapter plan videos, everything in the chapter is fair game on the test, but this video is meant to help you get a little more guidance on what to focus on. So the first pass through the chapter, as you see checked off here, first thing you need to think about is switching logic. And this is very important. You're going to see it several times more during the course of the book, but you want to be able to understand when a switch forwards a frame and when it does not forward a frame, what its logic is, and when it would flood a frame as well. The other thing you want to know is the concept of a broadcast domain and collision domain. These are defined, you see examples, you want to have a good handle on those concepts. In fact, switching logic is even a little more important. Broadcast and collision domains, a little less important, but both very important. Then there are a couple of topics that are only seen in this chapter throughout the whole book. VLANs and spanning tree protocol. Now these are covered in a lot more depth in ICND2, the second half of your CCNA topics. But in this book, they're only covered here. They're not terribly important in this context, but that's the only place you're going to see them. Also, if you understand the concept of broadcast domain, note that a VLAN is a configured broadcast domain, if you will. All right, when you review the chapter, what do you need to do? Well, first you want to look at your CD questions and look at just the ones for this question, or excuse me, for this chapter. It's a pretty good set of questions for this, and it's important to review these highly important topics pretty quickly. Also, watch the terminology. If there are things you're a little fuzzy on, particularly with switching logic and broadcast and collision domains, you want to make sure you check those and review them. Now, when you finish the part, which is after chapter 11, there's not a lot more to do as far as this chapter goes, per se. If you've reviewed it at the end of the chapter, you're going to get reminded of most of the concepts as you walk through chapters 8, 9, and 10, or at least you'll have opportunities to think about this stuff again. So a lot of this information is going to repeat, but you might at least do the questions again, watch for terms, but not a lot to do here at this step. Finally, when you get to the final prep stage, you want to be able to pull these concepts together. For instance, let's just say you've got three switches 1, 2, and 3, as you see here, and they're connected, but there's no redundancy. Then if you put a couple of hosts, one on each switch, ask yourself the question, what happens if when A, B, and C send frames? How do switches think? What are their rules for choosing when to forward and when not to forward, when to flood, and when to send just out one other port? So if you can apply those concepts to unique diagrams and topologies, then you will have mastered or proven that you mastered everything that you read back at the first pass. You also want to review terms, make sure you have all those down. And this is definitely a chapter where you really want to prove that you know everything from the chapter. You want to strive for complete mastery of the topics in this chapter.